on both YouTube and did I post a ramble in Patreon yet? Let me check. Okay, where is
They did it again. They lied.
Bismillah.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Shut up, idiot. All right. All right, look like we are fine. We are now in YouTube and in Ramble. Let me be sure I posted. I think I posted already in Patreon, so people will know that we are live. Give me a minute. No, it's not there. See, there was a problem with this Patreon. You post, I posted, but it still doesn't show up. So you have to repeat the post multi-time before. And the funny is, if I make the post open for everybody, which means you do not need to donate, Patreon don't make it show. If I make it only for those who pay, then it shows. But as you know, I don't have such a thing. I don't do private videos for the one who have money, and the one who have no money or who don't donate to me, they will not see my video. I don't do this garbage stuff. All right. Let us try again. So today our topic, there's a guy, he posted in my previous video in YouTube a comment. And in his comment, he said, look like Christian Prince, he never heard of, he never read the book of Hebrew. Let me show on the screen what we are talking about. And then he went to the verse. It says, remember yesterday I was talking about that Christians should arm themselves, should be ready for war. Anyone who says to you this is not right, he is not a Christian. So this guy is responding to me, supposedly proving me wrong. So he said, you can see his comment in my previous video in YouTube. In verse number 12, it says, for the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the diving asunder of soul. I mean, you do not need to be genius to know that this is not about sword. It's about the spirit, how God, he changed the heart of people, like Paul himself. But how come you choose a verse in the Bible, but you don't see the rest? So if we go right now and we type in Google, verses about war in the Bible, do we see anything except God? He says, go to the field, I will be with you. You will be my hammer, I will destroy nations with you. So those hippie false Christians, they are separated from reality. You see, Christians don't seek war. Christians are peacemakers. But doesn't mean if you don't seek war, somebody else will not seek it. So those hypocrites who come to you and they want to give you, they school you, they are false Christians. If we ask this guy, are you against having police in your town? So if a criminal come to your house, who you call? What the police they do? They come and they have guns. And usually what they do with their guns, they will use it. Here you see how silly, stupid those people are. Those are not Christians. I believe that those who they try to say such a statement are the coward ones who will not even protect their wife if she being raped in the front of their eyes. Those are the men no women should marry them. We don't want to be even associating with them. Those are the one who will leave their friend die because they are coward. Oh, we are Christian, peaceful. That's not true. How come you don't quote for me Jesus saying, the one who don't have a sword, go and buy one? If you don't have money, sell your garment and buy a sword. Sell your garment. How come they don't quote this verse? Is that the verse about the sword of God? The word of God? Well, Jesus is the word of God. He's with them. They do not need to sell and buy. So those hypocrite false Christians, they are the enemy of Christianity. Because what they try to do is to try to pervert Christianity, to make it a religion of hippies. You know, we are hippies. We put rings in our nose and we believe in peace. You know, like those in October 7, Israeli. Do you remember the festival? Who are they, those who are in the festivals? The hippie. The one who believe in peace. I'm serious. Those people don't want to go to the army. If they go, they are forced to go. Those are the one who want to give hugs to everybody in Gaza. This is the truth. What the people of Gaza did to them, they slaughtered them. Literally. Who is going to save you from the wolves? The army. Your army. No other nation army will save you. Look what the Americans are doing to the Israeli. Joe Biden, he have no choice but to support Israel. Not because he like Israel, obviously he hate Israel. Many of those who they are in the Congress, they hate Israel. But because they knew the majority of the Americans, they support Israel. So to keep themselves on the chair, they have to say what the chair need to say. So who is left for Israel? The Israeli army. Trust me, if there is no army in Israel, the Jews will be eaten alive. You know what alive mean? Alive. So those potatoes who come to you with false narrative and false education and false teaching, they are wolves in a clothes of a sheep. They want you to become literally the sheep. You see, Jesus, he spoke about us, we will be like sheep between wolves. But Jesus never said that those sheep don't have horns and they cannot kill the wolf. Sheep, because we love peace. But look like people, they never heard of the Lion of Judah. They never heard of the Messiah coming back. They never heard of the Messiah saying when he come back, bring them here and slay them. The Messiah they want is a hippie man. He give hugs. Jesus, when he come to this earth, he flipped tables. He kicked people out of temple. Peter, he have swords. He cut the ear of the soldier. The reason Jesus, he refused his action, because the soldier is just a soldier. He is not an enemy. He is just doing a command. He's a policeman. It's not him who is coming for Jesus. It is the one who sent him. So those people who try to make the Bible the sword, suddenly the sword became, so what, who is David and who is all the verses in the Old Testament, in Jeremiah, in, you know, all Isaiah, all of those. So this is not the true. We don't have the same God. They quote for you only certain verses, like in Matthew chapter 5, verse number 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Wonderful. We are peacemakers. We are not saying go and attack anyone. We are saying prepare, because they will attack you. In fact, a nation without an army is an invitation to the neighbor. You will notice that in states, like in America, where people are not allowed to have guns, this is where the crimes is so high, because the criminals always, they get their hands on guns. And they will use it. They don't buy it just to show off. No, 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 they will use it. The good citizen now, because those states are run by a bunch of idiot liberals, so now the good citizen, they have no weapon to defend themselves. Who is the one who have weapon? The bad ones. So by forbidding citizens from having weapon, we allow criminals to take over the society. If the criminal, he knew that in every house in this state, everybody have guns. His gun doesn't count. Oh, I will come to them with the gun, they will shoot me. A house without a gun is an invitation to the gunman, who is usually the criminal. Do you feel safe in any country if you don't have an army to defend you? If you look around you, you know, look at China. China itself suffered badly from the Japanese occupation. Is that correct? China, Philippines, many countries. The Japanese, not long time ago, not long, we aren't talking about 10th century ago, you know, we are talking, I mean, just the blood of those people who die in that war is not even dry. The Japanese, they committed massive crimes against the Chinese, against the Korean, against the Filipinos. So you don't want war, but war will come to you. It's not a choice. Evil is exist. So being a Christian does not mean being stupid. Being a Christian means being smart and vigilant. Don't post videos of YouTube we do not know what are they, otherwise we will block you. All right? Those who are posting videos, I will block you. Stop being stupid. If you have something to say to me, come to the mic and say it. Is that your job, video poster? Like what? Nobody watching your video, so we never post it here? If there's anybody naked there, this is the only way to make people go. So if you go now, look at the map in China. China, who was occupied, tortured, millions of people die. Now China is trying to swallow their neighbors too. Huh? Yesterday they were oppressed. Today they are the oppressor. China today is creating this like an unstable situation in Myanmar. Why? Because obviously they are trying to take it. China, they took the Tibet. The Tibet is not their land. They took it. There's many countries actually here. All of those have nothing to do with China. China now is expanding their sea to take over the Philippines. Many islands of the Philippines now, the Chinese, they hijack them. Filipinos are very nice people. Just say to them music, singing, karaoke, very nice people. But does that mean the enemy is not going to, because they are weak, because they are peaceful, because their country cannot really fight with China, the Chinese are coming to take over. So China was oppressed. China today is the oppressor. What happened? Well, we have a new party. They are communist, and they are like a beast. They don't care for ethic. All what they care, we want to swallow more. We need more power. The dragon, he need more power. So the role of evil can switch between countries. Not long time ago, it was Japan. Not long time after, it is China. America is no better, by the way. America is the same as many other countries. They go to war, and most of them, they are unjustly and have nothing to do with America. Because the one who is in control is just a beast. He seeks money. He seeks power. So when people, they speak about, look like we never heard, okay, so, you know, those hippie, if the Chinese now, they came to occupy Philippines, the Christians, Filipino, they should go on their knee and pray to Jesus. Our Father, art of heaven, please let the Chinese go. And the Chinese will go right away. In 2 seconds. The Muslims, they come and they took the land of the Christians in the Middle East. They took Constantinople. We call it in Arabic Constantinia. All what the Christian need to do to get rid of the terrorist, the Turkish terrorist who occupy their land, is just say, read for them Hebrew, chapter 4, verse number 12. That's all what we need. The problem solved. Who need to defend himself? Christians in Lebanon. 20 years of war. Muslims came from everywhere in the world to fight against the Christians in Lebanon. And Lebanese, a Christian, they left alone. Nobody support them. If the Christian Lebanese don't defend themselves, the Christian Lebanese, they will not be exist no more. So all what the Christian Lebanese during their wartime, all what they need to do, they open the book of Hebrew, chapter 4. No, you know what? They can put a sign between them and Hezbollah. I found a solution. Let us follow the hippies. So we print a big sign, huh? And we put it in the front of Hezbollah. Hebrew 12. Make big sign, big, huge one, so they can read it from far distance. Who dare to come to us now? Nobody. Because the word of God is a quick, powerful sword. What those people are talking about? Israel do not need to go at war with Hezbollah. They can borrow this one from us. There's a Christian Israeli. They can take this verse and put it in the border between them and Hezbollah, and that's it. The mosquitoes are revealed. No mosquitoes no more. People, they are stupid and they say stupid things. But don't play with the word of God and make false statement about it. Many, they attack the crusade. But what they don't tell you that the crusade or the crusaders are the best of us. If not the crusade, all of Europe will become Abdul a long time ago. It was the crusade who paid their blood for you. But the atheists in the schools, they teach you crusade are ugly, disgusting. So now your child, the second you say crusade, they say crusade, disgusting, crusade. In fact, you have a freedom of speech because of the crusade. Today you have your freedom of speech, if you have it still, because the atheist is trying to take it away. Atheists are not different from Islamists, by the way. I believe atheists are the most disgusting gang system ever. If you notice how much violence they do, how much killing they do, and yet they speak about ethic. We saw just a few days ago, there is something for the pervert. The pervert, they have an Oscar. It's called the Oscar of the Pervert, Hollywood. So there's a guy, supposedly he's a Jew, but is really is a Jew? I mean, this guy is a hippie, he supports homosexuality. What is a Jew? A Jew is somebody, is a Jew, not somebody just saying, I belong, like my grandfather was a Jew. No, you are not. And he starts insulting Israel. And those actors, they cry for Hamas. There's the blonde actor, I didn't know her name, I saw her on TV too. You know, a bunch of weirdo, ugly, disgusting. How come you don't cry for those Jews who've been slaughtered and killed and raped? Where was your tears? So not everyone says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of my Father, but the one who do his will. And what is the will of the Father? It's all over the Bible. Exodus 15:3. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name. They don't know that verse. They never heard of it. Jeremiah 51. You are my hammer and weapon of war. With you I break nations in pieces. With you I destroy kingdoms. Oh, must be a different God. Cannot be Jesus. This is what the hippie they say to you. You see the stupid ones? When they want, they say we believe in the Bible. The guy, he said, look like Jesus, a Christian prince, he never heard of the book of Hebrew. But look like you only heard about one book, or maybe one verse. The verse you are quoting me have nothing to do with war, you idiot. The verse you are quoting me is about how God, he changed the heart of people. And the example, Paul himself, he was going after the Christian, he hated them. So those stupid ones, they mix things up between what is war within ourselves, with our temptation, with our wrongdoing, with our evil thought, and all kinds of things we go through as a human, and war between nations and countries and civilizations. Don't listen to those people. When the Bible says a time for love and a time for hate and time for war and time for peace, there is a time for everything. But this time, you choose the time for peace because you're a Christian. But your enemy, they choose the time for war. You choose the time for love. You're a Christian, but your enemy choose the time for hate. People, they say stupid things and they try to fool you. So now, if we look around us in the world, why America and why there is tension between America and China? What is the problem? The problem that there is two big beasts are fighting over power. That is the truth. Who want to be in control of this earth? It's not about ethic. It's not even about God. It's about money and power. Why the Philippine people of Hong Kong, they don't want to be part of China? This is their will. What's the problem? No, we cannot let them. You know, we are the China. Look at them. They are a small, tiny number. And they used to be part of us one day. And here you see how the hypocrisy of the world work. The Chinese here, they excuse that Hong Kong, sorry, Taiwan, not Hong Kong, used to be part of their land. So why you take the Tibet? Why you take, there's here, like in the, if you go in the other side of China, you will see many countries, especially in the desert area. And you know, China is massive. China is huge. China is not short of land. China is empty, actually. I'm serious, it's empty. If you go here, those states here there's Muslims. Here there's Muslims. And they don't want to be part of China. But the Chinese will not let them go. Very simple reason. I mean, the same as Putin will not let the Chechen Republic be independent. They wage war against them, they occupy them again, and they subdued them like cats. And the Chechen, they are people, they say we are warriors, but they are potatoes. They are no match. Same time, they are really potatoes. When I say potatoes, always your enemy will find one of you. He will be the dog to supervise you. So they found a bunch of traitors who work for the Russian, so they can bite their own citizen. And this is the job of Ramazan Kadyrov. His job is to be the German shepherd who owned by the Russian to bite anyone who want to repeal against the Russian. But all of us, we knew that this is not land of Russia. Those people, they are not part of Russia. They don't think they are Russian. They are being forced to speak their language. I'm not too much really, I don't know much about the history of that territory, but what I know, they are Muslims at least, and they don't want to be under the command of any Christian leader. It's haram for them. Chapter 5, verse number 51. Take not Christians and Jews as protectors or friends. So, what is preventing those people from having their independence? Armies. Their army is small, tiny, they are no match. The Russian, they will eat them alive. Don't look at those pictures, they show you they are growing beard, they are potatoes. When the Russian came to Grozny, they destroyed Grozny. So what to prevent a beast from taking over your land is not a prayer you make alone. Prayer, we believe in prayer. But you have to defend yourself. When God of Israel, He stand with Israel, He stand with Israel. Which means the Israeli, they go to war. They don't stay home and say, God, go and fight for us. So be aware of those false ones who they try to present to you false narrative about Christianity. Time to take this candy for the throat. That's why I'm not staying long. I need to stop drinking coffee, but I am managing that slowly. Slowly. It's not easy to stop drinking coffee, huh? Who of you here think that defending your house, your country with a sword is wrong? Anyone? Who of you believe in such a thing? Who of you is willing to see his wife being captured by Hamas, raped by Hamas, and he will not defend his household and willing to die for it? If there's any, I want to see how many cowards. I want to see how many potatoes. If I have a daughter and her husband, he said to me what this guy said, I will never let her marry him unless she is stupid and she insists. Because this husband Somebody is going to break the doors on them. He will go into the bedroom. He will rape the wife, and the guy, he will say to him, by the way, my daughter in the next room. Only stupid people, they misquote the Bible and they pervert the meaning. The very existence of Israel, based on two things: God will and the Jews defending themselves. So God said to them, I will be with you. If the Lord is with me, who could be against me? The Lord is with me. I have to be there in the front line. I'm not going to say the Lord is with me, he will fight for me. He will be with me. Israel will be demolished if they have no army. Not only an army which is powerful. Egypt, in the borders of Israel, 100 million citizen. 100 million what? Citizen. If those people, they fight by throwing rocks, they can bury Israel. If the war is based in the old days by numbers, Israel is no match. So 100 million, they can make easy an army of, let us say, 30 million men. Easy. Imagine 30 million coming with the sword to fight Israel. What is stopping Egypt, the Muslim land now, which used to be Christian land and the Muslim occupied, what is stopping them from invading Israel? Is that because Muslims believe in peace? We know that is not true. The Quran says, and command the Muslims, cry not for peace when you are the uppermost. What does that mean? Well, very simple. If you are the uppermost, if you are victorious, if you are the strong and they are weak, never call for peace. You call only for peace temporarily until you are strong and get ready for war to kill them. As soon as you are ready for war. Do you see it? Be not weary and faint hatred, crying for peace. Who's talking? This is the God of the Abdul. The big potato. Allah. Aka Muhammad. The one who, if he fart when he is having sex with his wife. But his fart can kill you. Too much gas. Be not weary and faint hurted for crying for peace when you should be the uppermost. For Allah is with you, and He will never put you in lose. But look how stupid this verse, by the way. There's a contradiction. He is saying if you are the uppermost, for Allah is with you, so Allah is not with them when they are not the uppermost, obviously. But what we learn from this, if a Muslim sign a peace agreement with the Jewish state or any state, they sign because today they are not the uppermost. The reason Turkey is not invading Greece is not because Erdogan and the Ottoman and the Turkish believe in peace. They believe in robbing and attacking other land and never stop. This is how they make their wealth. The land is not even their land. 90% of Turkey is not do not belong to the Turkish, if not all of it. What is stopping Turkey from invading Greece? Calculation. Otherwise, the Turkish will invade Greece, Romania, Bulgaria. They will eat them alive. They will rape their women. They will capture them. They will enslave them. I spoke to a Ukrainian man, and he told me the reason that their food is greasy. Speaking about eating pork. He said because the Turk, they used to invade us, and they take only the food which is halal. So they come to the villages, they take the sheep, they take the chicken, they take the vegetables, they take everything. They leave only pigs. The thieves, the Turkish, it's reality. And why the Turkish, they were able to invade and steal? Because there's no army to stop them. This is what happened when you just quote a verse from the Bible and you refuse to build an army. So only foolish ones, they claim to be Christians and they believe that having sword and army and guns is against Christianity. Those are false people, and be careful with them, because those people, they can destroy you. If they spread this education between your kids will become cowards by nature. They convince them that this is the right way to live. The right way to live, my friend, is to defend justice. The man who watch a woman, she is being raped, and he don't jump to save her, he is a rapist too. Because he did not prevent the rapist from doing his rape. And he is no Christian. It doesn't matter if this woman, she is my wife, my sister, my daughter, or she is a stranger. Even if she is a Muslim, if I see somebody trying to rape a Muslim woman, I will do whatever I need to do to stop this filthy man from doing such an act. This is how you can be Christian. It's not just by praying to Jesus. That is not a Christianity. So when you see comments made by those people who they are silly and stupid and they are cowards, obviously, you understand that the devil is angry because I'm saying to the Christians, be strong, be men, defend your houses, defend your land. He don't want you to do that. If you do that, how he can take over? How we can enforce all kind of garbage law on you? Sharia law, Joe Biden law. If you look at them, those who they claim to be the fake Christians, they want open borders. Did you ask yourself why? The answer is very simple. Those evil, the Democratic Party in USA, they knew that the new migrant, in 10 years from now, they will become citizen, which means in 10 years from now, they will vote for them. So they are trying to change the demographic vote. They don't care what will happen to their country. They don't care how many criminals, human trafficking, slavery, sex crimes. It doesn't matter for them. All what they care about, how we can stay in the office. They have zero ethic. So don't listen to those cowards. Christianity teaches us to be just, not to do crimes, not to do criminals. We will not attack someone just because he's a Muslim. That's not right. But if somebody is an ISIS, we will make him shish kebab. If somebody is a terrorist, we will send him free shipping and hand it into Allah. If somebody is Hamas, we will, you know, we will put the tag in his ass, says, give him Virgin Allah. We are peaceful with the peaceful. We are at war with those who wage war. Be nice, be friendly, you know, we shake hands. Live and let people live. We don't support war, but we support war against wicked who are trying to destroy us. The Lord, he said, no peace for the wicked man. How come those people, they are giving peace to the wicked man? Since when? A wicked man, he don't understand. A wicked man, he will practice his wickedness. How come they see some verses in the Bible but don't see the rest? If you go to Isaiah chapter 48, it says, and this is verse number 22, there is no peace, say the Lord, for the wicked. Can you grant them peace? And why there is no peace for them? Because they are wicked. They cannot live in peace. This is why they have no peace. It's not because the Lord don't want them to have peace, no. Because they choose war. They choose to be wicked. They choose to rape. They choose to kill. They choose to conquer. The wicked men, they don't like to be at peace. The Israeli, they let Gaza, they withdraw, they give them independent, okay, this is your land. But they will never have enough. They want to take all the land. If you give them another 100 kilometers, Israel is so small. Very small, tiny land. A farm in Texas is bigger than Israel. If you give them more land, are they going to stop? No, they want more until there is no single Jew exist. But all of us, we knew, whatever people they say, they keep saying occupation, occupation, occupation. This is the land of Israel. And the word Palestinian doesn't even fit with those. Those are Palestinian. But just to let you know, the word Palestine means migrant, foreigner. This is their name if they are Palestinian. If they are, and they are not, migrant, foreigners. So who owned the land? You will notice that even the stupid Quran, when Muhammad was farting and stopped eating beans and making Quran, he never mentioned the word Palestine, not even once. In fact, the Quran says it clearly that the Holy Land is assigned to the Jews. Not only that, Allah, he commanded Moses in the Quran to go and kill whoever live in that land and take it. Then the Jews, they refuse to go at war. And they say, never shall we enter it until they leave. Who? The one who lived there. But those are not those people of Gaza. No. Those are a collection of Arab and mixed with many, many ethnic groups. And most of them, they are coming from Egypt. Remember, Egypt occupied Gaza for almost maybe more than, I'm not sure if like more than 1,500 years or 2,000 years. It was always part of Egypt. And the Israeli, they said to Egypt, take Gaza. When they sign an agreement with them of Sinai, they refuse. They refuse until now. They don't even want to open a door at Gaza. This is how evil it is. Evil who? Gaza. This is the land of evil. Nobody wants them. The whole society is a gang society. In order to live there, you have to be not only a wolf, you have to be a hyena. Everybody eat everybody. Tribes attack tribes. Family attack families. Kidnap family. Rape families. Anyone who lived in that area, he knew what I'm talking about. So Allah told the Jews to go and attack this land. And remember here, the Jews are coming back to Israel, not taking Israel. Just to remind you of history. Here the Jews are coming back. They are not occupying. When the Egyptian, they captured the Jews and they took all of them. Everybody, even the chickens and the goats. The Israeli, they stayed in Egypt for hundreds of years. And now the Israeli are coming back to their land from where the Egyptian, they captured them. This is their land. This is not a new land. They are doing like the Muslim, they go and they attack a nation and they call it Fatah. The Muslim, when they occupy their country, they take Spain, they call it Fatah. They don't say occupation. This is how hypocrite they are. So now the Jews are going back to their land. They are not occupying a land. This is where they lived. So the dream is to go back home. And the Quran is mentioning that in very silly details. The Jews refused to attack those people who occupy their land, to kick them out. Only 2 men from the Jews decide to join Moses at war. Look at the jihad, look at this army. Moses and 2 men, they will attack those people there and they will take the land. The logic of Allah. And then, because they refused to enter it, Allah got so angry and he started cursing the Jews. So he said, therefore the land will be out of their reach for 40 years. And here the stories, Muhammad is trying to copy a story from the Old Testament. This is not Allah. But Allah. Allah is the moon god. Have nothing to do with the God of the Jews. Have nothing to do with Moses. Muhammad, he hijacked names. Muhammad is hijacker. He's like the Chinese Communist government right now. They clone any product is good in the world. Even their airplanes is a clone of the American planes. Their drone is a they steal all the secret of America for weapon or anything, and they clone it. Muhammad the cloner, he moved to Yathrib. Yathrib is full of Jews. So now Muhammad, he start learning from the Jews about Judaism, and he decided to swallow Judaism. Same with the Christians, same with the Sabian. This guy, he is a multi-international religion, for he is the devil. All what he cares for is to be a leader and to conquer. And he used the name of God to conquer. Which God? The pagan God, Allah. Do we have any Muhammadan? Is my voice coming good and clear in Rumble and YouTube? How is my voice coming for you guys? Good? Any Muhammadan? You know, the funny is when we say any Muslim, we are saying anyone who want to surrender. Seriously, because that's what Muslim mean. Surrender. Anyone want to surrender? So when a Muslim, he says, I am a Muslim, he is saying, I surrender. They converted to Islam by the sword. You know, when Muhammad, he was, if you remember, there's a video of Dawah, he was speaking about Andrew Tate. And he said, we know that Andrew Tate is not a true believer. Brother, sister, it's okay. It's okay. We know. We know what the Quran says. That the Arab, they say, we believe. Allah said to them, no, you believe not. You are just a surrender. You are just a Muslim. And he quote this verse. But for sure, you know, I don't have a feminine voice to make the voice of Dawah. Brothers and sisters, many of you get upset because Andrew Tate, he said something about God, and it's not true. But brothers and sisters, he is not a Muslim. He's a true Muslim. He's a Muslim, yes. May Allah bless him. But he's not a true Muslim. So, and he quote this. You see here, they're saying submitted. That's false. Nowhere the word submitted is exist. You see videos made by apostate prophet David where they keep using the word submit. Muslim means submit. That because of their ignorance in Arabic. The word there is aslamna. We surrender. Have nothing to do with the word submit. If you want to see somebody, how much he know about Islam, Muslim or Christian, the second he used the word submit, that means he is not knowledgeable. He's just copying what he heard from somebody else. Islam means surrender, not submit. Submit is something you do willingly. Here you see those people, okay, how they are saying they are Muslims, but they don't believe. What happened? Because simply Muhammad, he converted them into Islam by the sword. And you see that in the previous verses. He threatened them, if you don't, a mighty army is going to come to them. Chapter 48, verse number 16. Read it. Say Muhammad to the Bedouin, who lagged behind, they don't want to join Islam. You shall be called to fight against people giving great warfare. Then you shall fight them, or they shall surrender. So now those people, they surrender. What the word surrender? Yuslimun. You see it? Become Muslims. So stop saying stupid things and copy, paste what people say. Islam does not mean submission. Islam means surrender. Only those who they are naive in the language. I don't blame them, by the way. I mean, they don't speak Arabic. They don't know the language. However, as long as there is somebody correcting you, why you don't correct yourself? There's a huge difference between submit and surrender. And here, by the way, the Muslim, they say to you, where in the Quran says, convert or die? It's in front of you. Anyone say reference? Where in the Quran it says, convert or die? It's in front of you. You shall be called to fight against people giving great warfare. Then you shall fight them, or they shall surrender. They shall become Muslims. Then, if they obey Allah, give them shares, by the way. Give them shares, yeah. Because now they join our army. A day before, they were against us. Today, they are fighting with us. We give them shares. They surrender. They join the gang. You see it? How many of you save the reference for the verse of 14 in the Quran? Chapter of Al-Fatih, 48:16. The fart of Muhammad is priceless. But who is listening to the fart of Muhammad? Most those people in the West, they are stupid and idiot. They don't know what Muhammad he say. They don't even read. They don't know even how to read. And if they read, they see not anything there. Like where it says kill them. Huh? Show me. Where it says that. You will see a guy, he is a British or an American. And he said to you, Islam is a nice religion. And Muslims are peaceful. Those Taliban and Qaeda, they don't present Islam. What the heck? Yes, brother, they don't present Islam. You know, Islam don't teach terror. Huh? So if we type the word terror in the Quran, what we will find? Cutting hands, fingers, fingertips. Those are not, this is not the book of Muslims. This is the book of Taliban, maybe. Look, look. So strike them over the neck and submit over their fingertips and toes. They torture them. Not only they kill them, they cut their fingers, they cut their toes, they crucify them, they put nails in their eyes, they heat the nails on fire and they put the nails in their eyes. Do we have any surrender? Anyone from the surrendering army? A Muhammadan? So remember, the word Muslim means surrender, not submission. That is a big fat lie. They try their best to sugarcoat Muhammad and his cult and his garbage. Don't try to sugarcoat Islam with me. I have my ants here. They will be all over your sugar-coated Islam. And they will strip you from your sugar. And they will make you yummy, yummy. And then I will call you dummy, dummy. Do we have any Muhammadan? Anyone? All right. Well, I just want to share this with you. I will try to come back later. See, we are trying to go in the morning, trying to go afternoon or at night. So people who live in Asia, etc., they can join us. People who live, depend on your location. As you know, according to Islam, the earth is a flat, and Allah, He come down in the third part of the night. So I don't follow Islam, as you know. Therefore, I believe that people have different time zone, not a flat earth, as Muhammad he taught in the Quran. You know, when Muhammad he said, you remember there is a video of Zakir Naik. He says, in the Quran it said Allah the word the mean an egg. The Quran says the earth is an egg, and by the way, is the earth is an egg? Since when? So, a Muslim kid, he made a video to respond to me many years ago. He's like maybe 21 years old, 20 years, you know. He's an idiot. And then every Abdul in the world copy that video. And Zakir Naik, he did the same. Just telling you how shallow they are. And they say, chapter 79 says that Allah, He made the earth like an egg. Anyone see the word egg there? Show me one translation use the word egg. Just one. You will not find it. Why? Because there's no egg. In fact, the word dahaha mean make it flat. You see here, they say spread the earth. False. Dahaha make it flat. This is why, you know, we laugh when Zakir Naik, he claimed to be a sheikh and he knew, you know, he don't speak Arabic. Okay, where do you get this word dahaha mean an egg? Can you show me? There's a video made by Mimi Hijab. And now Mimi Hijab trying to be honest, supposedly to earn some, let us say, reputation of honesty. He said, whoever says this is false. Go watch the video. Whoever says this is false. The haha, it means the opposite. He made the earth flat. But how many years Christian Prince was saying that this verse is saying the opposite, and the Muslim themselves, including Mimi Hijab, they were saying this guy is lying. Christian Prince is lying. Now, because the truth revealed. How many years I'm the first one who made books exposing the false miracles in the Quran, scientific miracles. How many years they accuse me of lying? Christian Prince lying, video lie number 1, number 2, lie number 3, lie number 4. And now they admit that the scientific miracles of the Quran debunked. Right? We have all the laundry of Muhammad. And his panties have many holes, including holes in the narrative. Not only a hole in the anus. By the way, there is some suspicion about how many holes Muhammad he have. When Muhammad he pee like a woman, there was a reason. Scientifically, mostly because Muhammad have a problem. His urine don't come from his penis. This is why he have to sit in the ground. And the Arab, they used to make fun of him, saying, look, he pee like a woman. Am I making things up? When Muhammad he pees standing, the urine will be scattered all over his body because there is a defect in his body. Now, you know, we cannot judge him for a defect. I mean, that can happen to anybody in the world. I mean, that is not a sin, right? If somebody have a birth defect, that does not make him a bad person. So we are not judging him for that reason. But we are just stating a fact about Muhammad and what he is suffering from. So you will see, everybody notice that Muhammad, he act always like women. Muhammad, he put eyeliners 3 times a day. Muhammad, he received Quran wearing his wife's clothing. Muhammad, he allow men to kiss him and hug him and kiss him down his belly. This is what Muhammad is about. And they will say to you that Muhammad was trying to copy the Jews. But the Jews, they don't piss like Muhammad. The Jews, when they are very serious about their cleaning, they have a container. It's like now you go in the bathroom, you have something in the wall, like this is the modern style of it. So to avoid any water to splash around, they pee, the men, they pee in a container. Anyway, anyone knows what is the last thing Muhammad he did before he died? Anyone knows? What is the last thing Muhammad he did before he died? He asked his wife Aisha to bring him the container which is under the bed. He cannot go anywhere. He cannot walk. Let us see if we can find the hadith. And here I find it very funny and very weird. I mean, usually a human being, especially if he's connected with God, he knew the moment he died. What Muhammad he did? It was mentioned in the presence of Aisha that the Prophet had appointed Ali as successor. Thereupon she said, who said so? I saw the Prophet while I was supporting him against my chest. He asked for a tray, and then he fell on the side and expired. He asked for a tray to piss and expired. Muhammad expired. Muhammad what? He is expired. Different hadith. He asked for a toast. Toast is like a dish, so he can pee on it. Muhammad did not even say Shahada before he died, as we see Hamas doing. All of those are very authentic. And I find it very strange that he is a prophet of God, and the last thing he did before he died is to pee. Let us see. There is the hadith where it says clearly the word pee in English. You can find it, you can search for it. Right? Somebody posted already, actually. All right, that's good. Thank you for posting the hadith. So if you go here, you will see that Muhammad, the last thing he did is to urinate. I was resting the Prophet on my chest when he called for a basin in which to urinate. Then he urinated and died soon after. So the last wish to Muhammad was to urinate in peace. She did not report any farting, but we do not know. It might be silence fart. That is the last thing Muhammad did in his life. End with piss. Muslims, be honest with you. Don't this news piss you off? Shouldn't he say Allah? Shouldn't he read Quran? Shouldn't he praise Allah? Hey, Allah, take me, etc. Say something? What? Obviously, Muhammad, he knows nothing what's going on. What will happen, Yet they claim that he is a prophet of God. I have to go because it's time to piss. If you don't mind, Muslims. And you can pray that I will go piss and die. But your prayer is not working, obviously. You want to say anything? 1389?
Yes, Mr. Prince. I would ask if you would have today time later a little bit, because the doctor, I always try to get you all three together, me, you, and her, to talk, It will be very, very important.
All right, I will try to come
for
back.
so long time right now,
If she can come here right now, why she don't come?
She will come like for 10 or 15 minutes, but she wants to talk in private.
Okay. Well,
you remember?
I will
the
talk.
Doctor?
Okay, I will talk to her in private, but you have to be with us, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to her alone. Anyway, okay. All right.
Of course.
Is she there now?
No, not yet. She will come in 10-15 minutes. She will be here.
From now?
I think so, yes.
See, I got to go.
Okay.
I have my 4 wives waiting for me, and I promised them to make like a lot of homework. We will make babies.
A lot of babies.
Not a lot. I cannot make a lot. I'm like my grandfather. He made only 96 boys, so I cannot really make. So I will make maybe 10, 20. I'm not sure. Like we will see. Depend in the weather. We will see. And I have to say, I wrote a sticker on their forehead. It says, "Say Inshallah." Don't forget to say Inshallah. So I have to say Inshallah, so we can. I will see if I can come back in 10 minutes, but I don't think so. But we will see. All right.
How should I contact?
If she can, if she can come right away now, I can stay another 10 minutes. If not,
right now, not. Right now, not. She said to me she must do something, and she will be. Oh my God, it's always the same.
All right, then it's okay. We can do it anytime. We will see what we can do. What can I say? All right.
And I write it in a DM or?
No, like if I come back in 10 minutes, if I come back, I don't promise you. You can text me and I will call you back. You can invite her.
Okay.
Like you can invite her, right, to conversation?
Yes.
Okay. We will try to do that if I was able to come back to you. All right?
Okay. Thank you a lot. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. All right, guys. Thank you very much for being here. May the Lord bless you. And remember, those who they claim to be Christian, they quote for you only verses about peace. But reality is, even if you love peace from all your heart, evil is there, and evil don't want peace. We are not the one who sponsor war or support killing. But we are the one, because we are against war, then we have to go to war when war come to us. Otherwise, the war will continue and the evil will flourish. Evil is like weeds, and the one who don't attend his garden, the weed will take over it. And wickedness bring war. How you can fight wickedness? By waging war against the weeds. Not by allowing the weeds to take over your home and your land and your garden. And the excuse is, you love peace. You don't love peace, you love wicked weeds. Because you allow them to spread. So those who say so, they are not Christians. They are trying to deceive you, trying to give you false narrative, false teaching, which is not biblical. They quote for you only certain verses. They forget the rest of the verses. They forget that Jesus says, the one who don't have a sword, go and buy one. Sell your garment and buy one. They forgot to tell you that Peter have a sword with him all the time. Why, Jesus don't see the sword with him? Well, he is the one who commanded him to buy a sword. The sword doesn't kill. People kill. So, having a sword does not make you a criminal, but using the sword unjustly is what makes you a criminal. As simple as that. Thank you all for being here. Until I see you again maybe in a few hours. Until then, God is good. So is Jesus. Our Lord is the Messiah. He is the Lord of war, which means he will wage war against the wicked. He is the Lord of peace, for he said, love your enemy. He is the Lord of miracle, for he himself is a miracle. For he is the healer. He is the one who resurrector. He is the one who is the life, the Alpha, the Omega. He is the way. He is the truth. And then they say to you, where Jesus says, I am God, worship me. If all those Jesus did not say yet, I am God, worship me. So what is God? You ask the Abdul, is it true that you're God? He called himself the truth. They say yes. Well, Jesus says that before you're God, 600 years before. I am the truth, Jesus said. Is it true, you Muslim, you call your God the resurrector? They say yes. Well, Jesus says that 600 years before the birth of Mohammed. He said, I am the resurrection. Not only the resurrector, I am the resurrection. Simply, the filthy God of Islam, he tried to hijack the title of Jesus and give it to the pagan god Lah. And the Lord will come back with the glory of his angels. And he will say, those who disobey me, bring them here and slay them. Maybe the Christian will not quote that verse for you. Bring them here and slay them. That is the same Jesus, not different one. They quote for you only what fit with their propaganda, for they are false Christians, fake ones. And we are victorious by his name. Amen to that. Thank you. God bless you, and see you soon again. This is your brother Christian Prince, was serving you humbly for today. And God is good, so is Jesus. Amen. See ya.